Today we are exploring an agent-based model designed to better understand and measure the intensity of different impacts on landscapes at a continental scale. This model is focused on uh, identifying the main factors that have influenced the transformation of interglacial vegetation, specifically the role of burning practices by hunter-gatherers. It uses a wide range of spatial data to simulate change during the last interglacial and early Holocene. So, before we go into the details, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Nastasia Nikulina. I'm a computational archaeologist. I just finished my PhD at Leiden University, so today we are going to talk about the model that I developed during my PhD. And I just recently joined a new project, and now I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Durham University in the UK.
To start, could you discuss the main objectives of this model? What aspects of landscape transformation are you most focused on, and how does the model address the role of human activities such as burning practices and environmental factors in shaping interglacial vegetation?
Yes, as you know, landscapes are complex. It's an example of complex systems because many elements are involved into landscapes and many different processes are happening in landscape dynamics. So, and this complexity often makes it challenging to identify the key factors which impact landscape dynamics and landscape changes. So basically, that is why one of our goals was to identify the, the most influential factors for landscape dynamics on continental scale. Yeah, specifically we were focusing on dynamics of vegetation in Europe during interglacial, in the past interglacials. And yeah, this was kind of the main first main focus. But the second main focus is hunting, burning practices by hunter-gatherers. To be fair, as archaeologist, of course, I was more focused on hunter-gatherers, but of course, this aspect cannot be studied outside the landscape dynamics. So when we discuss landscapes and human impact on landscapes, we often tend to emphasize agriculture or maybe industrial revolution, maybe some different aspects of globalization. And while of course we know that these factors are important for landscape dynamics and they are like one of the crucial, but hunter-gatherers and like earlier societies are often left aside. There are many reasons for that. One of them is because we still have a little bit limited evidence for that. So that's why our focus was on hunter-gatherers, because they are not studied in detail, and how they impacted landscapes we don't know yet. However, we have ethnographic evidence and archaeological evidence that tell us that hunter-gatherers were actively engaged with the environment. They were using fires, they were burning vegetation around them. So of course, these practices changed their surroundings. So that was kind of the second goal of this study, to explore the potential impact of hunter-gatherers in shaping interglacial vegetation.
What were some of the significant difficulties you encountered while developing this model? What is challenging to incorporate like diverse spatial data sets and simulate long-term challenges and change in landscape?
Yes, one of the primary challenges was to find a way how to incorporate all these data sets into a single MBM. So this model was novel in many ways because this was not done before, of course, specifically for hunter-gatherers, but also many of the data sets people knew about these data sets, but they were not incorporated into a single MBM. So yeah, we had to find an approach for that, and I was lucky. I was working as a member of a Terranova project, and I had many great researchers who helped me, who talked to me. First, these great people, they provided me data sets, but then another challenge to effectively communicate, of course. So I need to understand what the data sets are. They need to explain to me what is data sets, how they produced, what are the limitations, and so on. So this was interesting experience. And then we not only incorporated data sets, we also did some comparison of some data sets. And also, it was not done before, so we had to, again, to find a way to do that. So we developed approach to do that, so it was also interesting challenge. And but also I wanted to mention that another challenge was related to exploration of modeling outputs. So of course there are many techniques that you can use to do that, and we tried different things. But I think the most interesting one was a genetic algorithm. So this is not published yet. Results of this are under review. But I wanted to say that this is a cool technique, which is still kind of relatively limited, used in a limited way in ABMs. This is technique from machine learning, and this is optimization technique, which allowed me to optimize values of my parameters. So I was able to do that and to find the parameter values which produced model output similar to empirical data. So we can produce potential scenarios of past changes of vegetation. And this was, we could explore a large parameter space, and it was possible with this technique. So
Regarding your insights gained from the model analysis, what specific patterns have emerged about, how hunter-gatherer practices influenced vegetation? Have there been any surprising trends in how these practices interact with natural environmental change?
yeah, we got many different cool results. I cannot talk about all of them because some of them, as I said, they are under review. Some of them already published, some of them under review. Some of them were presented in conferences. But yeah, there are many interesting insights we got. Before I mention specific results, I just wanted to say that there are kind of two blocks which are important to remember. The first block of results comes from dataset comparison. So we got some insights from this part. And second group of results goes from the model itself. So that's when I mention results, I always mention results of the study, not only the model, because it gives some insights, but also important to remember that there was some data comparison involved. So of course, without going too much into details about some practical and technical aspects, I would just say that the results of the study showed us that already thousands and thousands of years ago, climate and impact of large herbivores were not the only factors responsible for vegetation dynamic in Europe. So there were other factors involved. And our results shows that fires, and specifically fires by hunter-gatherers, were important for interglacial vegetation. So what does it mean? First, it tells us about the history of human-environment interaction, that it happened not with the start of agriculture, but much before. A long time before the emergence of agriculture. So people were involved into environment, they were connected with vegetation, and they were constantly changing it. And of course, they were shaped by environments themselves. So this gives us interesting perspective, I think, on human-environment interaction and our kind of history of it. And also it also tells us that agriculture didn't start on pristine landscapes. So because before it was already shaped by hunter-gatherers via vegetation burning.
You have made the model accessible for public use using comsys.net. Did you encounter any challenges in, ensuring the model was well documented and easy to use for researchers or other interested users?
From the start of the project, we all agreed that everything what we do will be public. Publications, open access, and the model was supposed to be public as well. It was clear from the start, so I already had the mindset that what I'm doing has to be available for others. It was basically written in grant proposal, so we kind of have no choice, and I don't mind. I think it's great. So maybe that's why, because I already knew from the start it was not really difficult. But another point was that I had to switch kind of mindset from the developer of the model. I had to think about potential users. So I had to think whether my code is clear, whether I did good comments, whether the documentation is well written. So because I really want this model to be, I hope one day somebody will use it. I hope it will be useful. I hope results will be useful for also scientific community as well, of course. So yes, a challenging point was to think about about all of this from the perspective of potential user. I hope I succeeded.
What do you see as the next steps for this model? Are there plans to expand its applications to other time periods or regions, or I mean, to include additional variables that might further illuminate, human impacts on landscapes?
We discussed with my colleagues, and there are some ideas. For example, it could be interesting to maybe modify the model a little bit and apply it to a case study. So in this way, we can see whether these continental scale patterns can be visible on local scale, or I don't know, several archaeological sites in a specific area. So it would be interesting, I think. Um, yeah, but also, yeah, this model is a part of kind of big chunk of models which are dedicated to human environment interaction. So I can say that my work didn't stop with this model. I finished my PhD. I didn't abandon this topic, of course. I'm currently working on. I continue working right now on agent-based models for human environment interaction. So as I mentioned, I recently started as a postdoc at Durham University, and again I work as a part of a team. I have colleagues from Basel, from Venice, and we work together on the project called SSE1K, Science, Society, and Environmental Changes in the First Millennium CE. So basically, we study human-environment interaction in the Mediterranean during First Millennium CE. And my role, again, involves developing an APM to study this. But now, yes, I left hunter-gatherers a little bit, and now I focus on first millennium CE. And again, I'm working with different data sets. The challenging part for me right now is to input, use as an input historical sources into my model. So for me, it's a very new aspect. And also the interesting aspect of this work is to study perceptions of people, why they respond to climatic changes in certain ways, how they perceive environmental changes around them. So yeah, I think that I kind of continuing what I was doing, just for different time period, a little bit different region. But
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me and sharing your insights.
yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting.